You ready, Kojo, yeah?
Hold on, let me tell the people that we're recording as well. I'm gonna tweet it.
We're live right now. Right now. Episode 1. Style of play. We had to do this. I'm gonna do this properly. I told Kojo this when did we speak? Yesterday, day before. I said I'm gonna be consistent. So you're gonna see my face a lot more on this channel now.
That's right.
But I got some good guests. But before we say who the guests are, make sure you go and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you go to the Twitter account, all of that stuff. Make sure you go into the link as well, the description with the links for Goonie. How you doing, first of all? Man knows football.
I'm all good, man. Thanks for inviting me on the platform. It is a great time to be a Chelsea fan. So I'm always down to talk Chelsea.
Pleasant time to be a Chelsea fan. Let's get it right.
Yeah, trust me. After what we experienced last season as well, bro, this is just what we deserve.
Yeah, man, 100%. And if you haven't already, but you should already know this, Man Knows Football. There's a link down there in the description. Make sure you go and subscribe, run up them numbers. Goonies channel's doing flagrant right now. If that's even a word. It's doing amazing right now. So make sure you add to the subscribers and make sure you go and listen to the content because it's really good out there. And Kojo, free midfield. My other brother, what are you saying, man? You good?
Yeah, I'm blessed, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Listen, I got the blue one. I got my blue. It's not Chelsea blue, but it's blue. We're hijacking everything out here. I'm happy.
I'm delighted because you did it to my main rivals. It was beautiful to watch, man. So thank you. From sincerely.
Are you're United bad, yeah?
Oh yeah.
All right,
listen,
you see, I didn't have to ask him, and he knew already. You didn't have to ask him; he knew already. Yeah. It was there, man. But Kojo, pleasure as always. Free Midfield. The link is in the description to Free Midfield. Another brilliant channel. If you haven't done so already, make sure you go and subscribe, smash the like, and all of that stuff. And social accounts, everything is on Kojo's channel as well. But we're gonna start with United first of all. I think only one place to start. I know, Kojo, you wasn't very pleased this morning when you sent me the little thing in the DM about Casemiro. We're going to talk about all of that right now. But let's talk. I want to talk about the transfers first of all, because obviously there was a couple of outgoings, a couple of incomings. Mason Mount, Højlund, Johnny Evans, who I think is a really, really good addition, experienced defender as well. But just talk to me about the additions. Do you think that's enough to go through the season with? Do you feel like United need more? Do they need to add more players to that? And what's your assessment so far after the game yesterday? What do you feel that needs to be done at United?
Well, we always need more. And I think I've always said that from even when in the days of, I definitely wasn't doing a podcast when I was in school, but when we were the most successful team at that time, the one thing that we had a culture of is when you win, you still add, because everyone else is going to try and catch up to you. So you try and keep that gap open. So for me, I always try to improve. And in this period of time where we've not been on our best behavior, we've not been on our best form, you do want to improve and get better. And I always say fixing the first 11 is great, but it's also the depth behind as well that you need to make sure that it's certified. So we definitely need more. There are still positions in the starting 11 that I have problems with. How they started, I'm quite calm with Mount. Yesterday wasn't a great performance, but no one played well, really, apart from maybe Wan-Bissaka and Onana I'm sure we'll get to that part. Højlund obviously hasn't played yet. He's injured, so when he comes, hopefully he'll be okay. He's 19 though, so I've got a lot of time for him. He's a young G. He's got a lot of time to settle and hopefully get into the team and become pretty much a key member, a key player. Johnny Evans, the only reason I'm annoyed about that is because, I know he's going to be like a 5th, 6th choice centre-back, but I wanted a direct improvement or someone to at least challenge Martinez and Varane. And the current crop behind those two are not going to challenge those two in their positions to be leading the line at the back. Now onto the game. Yesterday was a horror show. There's a lot of reasons why it was. It's the first game of the season. It looked like we were still in pre-season mode. Even the first 5 minutes. If you look at the first 5 minutes of the game, we didn't get past the halfway line. We just kept knocking the ball around the back. Onana, Varane, Martinez, Onana, Wan-Bissaka, Onana, Shaw, Onana. Onana was getting so many touches and he didn't need it. So it looked like we were a bit, lackluster. Maybe, I don't know I don't want to say nervous. I would like to believe that these guys won't be nervous for the first game of the season. They want to get going. They want to, start the season strong. But it looked like they just didn't have ideas. And I think the key thing about the midfielders the defenders knocking the ball between each other was the midfielders. Casemiro, Bruno, and Mason Mount had zero chemistry from start to finish. There was no cohesion. There was no understanding between even between two. It was individual. And because Bruno and Mount were so far apart and not, working together, when we got hit with counterattacks, Casemiro was by himself many a time. Now Casemiro's getting a lot of abuse, saying, "Oh yeah, his legs are gone. Oh, see, this is why we can't have him anymore." What defensive midfielder, past, present, and maybe in the future, will be able to stop 3, 4, 5 attackers by himself, coming at him constantly? And then when they get past him, you've got 2 centre backs, but then you've got other 4 or 5 players. And if we're being real, they had about 3, 4 chances that they should have scored. They should have scored. Cunha, Fabio Silva at some point in the second half was where it continued. So that was the biggest part for me. And the midfield is where it broke down between defense and attack as well, because Rashford had 4 touches in 25 minutes and none of them were near the box. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm not saying it's doom and gloom. It's the first game of the season. We won the game with Varane. Lovely header, Wan-Bissaka with a nice cross, lovely goal. And I've seen a lot of meltdown in the Man United fan base. Again, Man United fans are spoiled people, man. Let's just call a spade a spade. Terrible fan base. Spoiled fans who had sat Ferguson, give them everything they wanted. We got taken over by the Glazers. Weren't as strong in the transfer market. Were still dominating. They're spoiled. Absolutely spoiled. So they don't know how to deal with this. 10 years later, and they're still spoiled brats. So at this point, you just got to expect behavior to be behavior, innit? And that's what Man United do. The fan base anyway. But we won the game. So my only issue is don't do that against Tottenham. Simple as that. That's Tottenham are they're also quite shaky defensively, but they got players like Son and Kulusevski who can kill you. I'm not going to say Richarlison, because he doesn't kill anything unless he's wearing a Brazilian shirt.
We're going to get onto him later.
Right, please do. But I think the main person for me, more than anything, that I'm happy is that Harry Kane's not there anymore. You give Harry Kane the chances Wolves had yesterday, and next week, I'd be crying. This time next week, I'll be
he's tucking. So, he puts them away easy.
Exactly. But yeah, poor performance. Wolves played well, but we got the 3 points. So I'm just happy we took those, and we got a W. At least we started with a W anyway.
It's a tricky game, I think, to open, because Wolves, I think they had over 20 plus shots. Like, this is a team that a lot of people, I think, would have predicted we're going to be will be relegated this season. But if they play how they played last night against United, I think they'll be okay. And Gary Neal's a really good manager. I think he should never have been sacked by Bournemouth. You think about all the things that happened to him during that period when they let him go. But he's got some good players there. Gooney, Onana, a player that I know you love. You probably potentially at some point on your channels probably said you would have liked to have seen him at Chelsea. Very good with his feet. Distribution was really good. Very good goalkeeper. I think it could have been 3 or 4-0 to Wolves had they not been careful, had they had the hearing goal. But Onana, what do you think of him so far at United? Do you think he's doing more than De Gea? Do you think he's got more to do?
I mean, look, I don't want to disrespect De Gea and say that Onana's doing more, because this is a man that's won the Premier League with Manchester United. He's actually been a respectful goalkeeper in his time. At one point, a lot of people thought he was number 1 in the world. Personally, I didn't. I felt that Neuer has had that and had been undisputed for a very long time. After certain goalkeepers had left, do you know what I mean? I'm talking about Peter Cech and all that. Once their time was done, it was Neuer. But Onana himself, he's a very good goalkeeper. And you saw yesterday why United signed him. And when we were linked with him, I was hoping that we could get it over the line, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. And I believe that was due to political circumstances, down to other transfers that Inter were interested in at the time with Chelsea. So didn't go through for us. Very good goalkeeper, excellent reflexes, very comfortable clearly with the ball in his feet. Only thing I'll say about him is he has a tendency to be erratic. And recent case I'm referring to is the incident, yesterday where Wolves clearly should have had a penalty. He got 0 of the ball, completely took the man out. Disgraceful how the referee didn't even go to the screen to check it and it just carried on. Very lucky there. I thought United got away with one. And, one massive thing in the Premier League that goalkeepers need to adapt to and do very quickly is aerial balls. If he doesn't get it right with aerial balls soon, it's going to be very uncomfortable for him very quickly in the Premier League, because we are one league where we've got 0 patience. So he's got to get that right. You're going to have to hope that Ten Hag and the coaching staff have looked at that and are looking to address that in training.
Yeah, it's one of them where I don't think unless you're in fact, even United fans must have thought, here we go, penalty, because it was a stonewall penalty. I don't understand how I thought the ref was going over to check the screen, double check. He went over and books Gary O'Neill. It's a bit of a weird one for me. So and then for Ten Hag to come out and say, I'm not sure it's a penalty and this, that, and then Onana to come out and say it was just 2 players colliding, it wasn't my fault. Come on, man. You got these things you can say game 1, week 1, you can get away with saying those kind of things. But when you're doing it like Goonie says, week in, week out, and he's done it. This isn't like a new thing, a one-off. He's done this quite a bit for Inter as well. They like to try and command the box and be the one that grabs the ball and whatever. But if it's a penalty, it's a penalty. So for me personally, the fact that they've had to come out, the refs have had to come out and apologize for the error, tells you that there's still something not right with VAR in English football, because in France, in Ligue 1, they have it right. You can hear, now I don't know if it's like a regular thing, but you can literally hear what they're saying in terms of when there's a referee decision, you can hear on the TV what they're saying. So you can hear the man saying, right, I think it's this much offline or offside, or I think it's a penalty for these reasons. We need that. I think we need that transparency in this league as well. But Goonie, I'm going to come straight back to you. What do you think about VAR in England so far? Do you think it's worked? Do you think that it's just an English thing? Is it just certain fans moaning about it? Do you think it's working?
I don't think the issue is just isolated with VAR. I think it's also down to the officials as well. And a lot of it is coming down to the protection that we give them in England, because, in other leagues like League One, they seem to have got it right. Refs seem to be held a little bit more accountable than they are, and perhaps in England. And I think we need to go down that direction. But, it's the same complaint with VAR since it's come in. Nobody's complaining at the technology. It's just down to the consistency of when it's used, because, particularly last season and even the season before, it's got to be said, it almost felt like they were picking and choosing when to go to the screen. And, in any kind of sport, that's very disingenuous to do. So they've got to find a way to make it a more even playing field for everybody. You know what I mean? Because incidents like yesterday, now I'm not singling out Manchester United, but incidents like yesterday is why you're going to have other fans saying, oh, look, typical United, typical Liverpool. You know what I'm saying? How teams get reputations. You've got to take that out of the game. Once you do and you play at an even playing field, we're not going to have no complaints about VAR.
I think I would say the issue is, I know the rules of football always change, offside rule changes, all that stuff, but something like VAR, when it comes to penalties and red card, decisions outside the box, you need to be very, very clear of what you're doing. Can't now come and say this year we're going to allow the referees, or try and give the referees their decision on the pitch to stand unless it's clear and obvious. You keep changing the clear and obvious thing. That yesterday was very clear and very obvious. He's clattered them. He's absolutely clattered them. Like, there's no need. He didn't clatter one. He clattered 2 people.
Exactly.
Like, he clattered one and he went through to the other.
In the view of the ref as well. The ref could see what was happening as well. So
exactly.
I don't know.
I've always said there's a thing about Old Trafford that I don't think people have realized is when Man United fans know there's a penalty, it's almost like a resounding silence. Because you hear the United. They just know we're in trouble here, and everyone knew that it was Stonewall, man. I actually don't know what on earth, how you watch that on camera the whole country can see, yeah, there's a penalty, and 2 guys or 3 guys behind the camera and say, yeah, man, not so much. That's a penalty. But you'll see more of that this season. It's not going to be Manchester United.
Them Fergie brown paper bags are still in circulation by the looks of it. So I'm going to say, you must be. It can't be anything else.
God bless Alex Ferguson. God bless Howard Webb, and God bless Simon Hooper. There we go.
That's what I'm saying, man. He knows the script already, man. But before we move on from United, I want to talk about some news that came out literally before we came on about Harry Maguire staying at Manchester United. The deal to West Ham has broken down. If I'm correct, I'm sort of paraphrasing, but I think he basically was told that he can go to West Ham. United were going to pay him some sort of compensation package for going. I think it was around £5 or £6 million. He was going to then go to West Ham. That move would then open the door for Pavard to come in. That now looks like that might not happen because obviously Maguire's still going to be there on the books. Kojo, talk to me because he's your defender. Talk to me, man. Like, is this a thing where he's clearly not going to be playing? Obviously, you now signed Johnny Evans as a backup centre back. You got Martinez, you've got Varane that can play there as well. Lindelof is still there in the team, so it looks like maybe Harry Maguire is just going to be doing the Phil Jones this season and just in the stands most of the game on the bench.
The issue with Harry Maguire is Harry Maguire is in a very comfortable position, in my opinion anyway, where no matter how many minutes he gets from Manchester United, he's an absolute starter for England. Gareth Southgate doesn't.
But should he be? Because Levi Colwell's there now. Tomori's there now.
But Tomori's been there. Tomori had a stellar season and wasn't picked. Southgate has his thing where he says he'll pick players on form, but I feel like he's talking about form for England. The players that I've had in England that have performed for me because of the way I play, the way I approach games, my style of play, it works. Harry Maguire with a low block, it works. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like he's seen that and he says, well, I'm in a good spot. I'm earning a lot of money. If I go to West Ham, it's going to have to be a wage deficit. Because now the rumors going around is not only about the Man United not agreeing the compensation package, but also now it's a case of he never actually agreed terms with West Ham. So what is the case? Either way, apparently Ten Hag is happy with him and wants to keep him. Sees him as an important member. This is someone that you stripped the armband off. This is someone that is not playing games. In fact, when a centre-back is injured, you bring on Lindelof. And if it's not Lindelof, it's Luke Shaw. So you've gone from being the captain and absolute starter of Man United to essentially being, in pretty much a year. It is. You shouldn't be here. And West Ham offer you a deal where you know the type of football they'll play. And quite frankly, we've had it in the past where there's certain defenders that when they're under constant pressure and they're playing a low block team, they stand out more because they're doing a lot more tackles, a lot more aerial duels, a lot more interceptions. But when they go, it's all like goalkeepers as well. Goalkeepers are under pressure all the time. They're making phenomenal saves, and they're keeping the team in the game. But when they go to a team that keeps possession more and you have to keep your concentration up, are you the guy to do it? Harry Maguire has not been that guy for Man United. It's just that simple. So he needs to go, in my opinion, at this point, for his own sake. Forget about agendas. Forget about I don't like the guy. You need to be starting games because, as you said it, Colwell is now showing himself as a young G. What's his name? John Stones is certified. If Ben White sorts out his England beef, he'll probably get back into the team. They've got options. Tomori's been brilliant. I just find it baffling that he doesn't want to make the move. In my opinion, at this point, you are not the guy at Man United, and you want to be the guy. Let's not lie. So, in my opinion, he should get out. But it looks like he's staying. It looks like we're not getting Pavard. And at this point, I don't even know if we're getting Amrabat either. So,
yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah,
tricky one for the audio listeners. Jesse just joined us, man. Jesse, if you've been listening to Play to the Whistle, you'll know Jesse from back in the day, man. But Jesse, man, what you saying? You good?
Yeah, good, man. Apologies. I haven't done this in so long. I couldn't find.
Man said apologies like I don't know you talking about.
No, because I haven't done this. So I couldn't find some of my stuff, so I was just running a bit late, man. But apologies, everyone.
You've joined at the right time. We're going to move on to Liverpool. Goonies hijacking team. We've been hijacking Liverpool left, right, centre. But talk about Liverpool because obviously they've brought in 2 midfielders. McAllister, Slobberslide, 2 players that they was able to activate the release clauses for, I think, for Slobberslide as well, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Missed out on a lot of players. Enzo in January, Bellingham went to Real Madrid. They've obviously now lost out on Moises Caicedo. Romeo Lavia looks like he's going to Chelsea as well. Do you think there's still enough time, Jesse, for Liverpool to bring in reinforcements, especially in that midfield, when you think back to a lot of the players that they let go in terms of Fabinho, Milner, Henderson? Obviously got Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott in there, but do you feel there's enough time for them still to go and get what they need in terms of those reinforcements?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think a club would have went into the market with just 2 targets in a position. There'd obviously have been A, B, C, D, E options. So they've missed out on Lavia and Caicedo, then they have to move on to option 3, whoever that would have been. I don't know who that is for Liverpool, but yeah, they'd have to just move on to that option now because they do need someone in that position. It was highlighted more in the game on Sunday, but you kind of saw the issues in that position last season as well. So yeah, there's definitely still time to get someone in that position, 100%.
Who do you think they should go for, Goonie? Who would you see United now going for in terms of, obviously, they lost out? I think they've been linked with Tyler Adams recently. McTominay is another one that I don't know how true that is, but I've heard they're looking into Scott McTominay as well as another player to bring in. But Goonie, you'll know, obviously, that this is a pleasant time to be a Chelsea fan.
Absolutely.
We hijacked everything that we could. But in terms of Liverpool, they do have to go back into the market, don't they? I think, and try and get someone and make sure that they've got enough midfield options going into the season.
I don't think it's all over for Liverpool. I think there's definitely still targets out there, but it just depends on the mentality that you have, because the 2 targets that I would 100% be going for if I was Liverpool are Federico Redondo and Gorna Duaf, which that's a player that not a lot of people know about, but that's one that I've had, I've been able to watch a handful of games because he is a Salzburg player. I'm not going to sit here and say that I watched the Austrian league like that, but I have seen him in the Champions League, and particularly against us, he looked very, very impressive. And he was actually rumored to be a replacement for Caicedo over at Brighton. So Liverpool should be looking at options like that instead of going for your renowned names, because as you see, sometimes it's not about getting always the ready-made product. You've got to put faith in some of these targets, and I think both of them have the ability to become potentially elite defensive midfielders, honestly, especially Federico Redondo as well. Like, he's definitely got the tools. And they're also as well 2 different profiles of DMs. Redondo is sort of like, I would liken him to more like your Jorginho, more of a regista rather than someone who is a destroyer. But this is the thing, is that he's got a very good build, he's got a very solid frame, and he gets about quite quickly, so that's also well within his locker. So he's a very rounded option, very technical as well, silky, can pick up passes. So it's really just about taking gambles, man. But outside of that, if we're looking at your more senior, kind of more reputable players, I don't really see anybody that's out there realistic. They were throwing out Tchouaméni's name out there, but I've been saying from the beginning of the transfer window that they ain't going to sell him. They're just not. That midfield there at Madrid, it doesn't need to be touched. They don't really need to add to it, and they certainly don't need to take away from it. So, that's my stance for Liverpool anyway. I think we've really thrown a spanner in the works for them. Not going to lie, bringing in Lavia as well. That's a big blow for them.
It's mad because I think, obviously, they were in for Lavia. They were in for both Caicedo and Lavia at some point. They were flirting around with the haggling and, offering just below what I think both clubs wanted for their player. And obviously, they did get the credit to them. They got the Caicedo deal done on the Thursday night or Friday morning, early hours. But I think they've had quite a few. I mean, since Michael Oates has left as a director of football, they've had quite a few directors of football at Liverpool. Do you think that's a...
They have, but with the Lavia situation, as you know, I've been a little bit closer to this than most people have. With the Lavia situation, this is what makes it even worse for Liverpool, is that up until they made that move for Caicedo, it was an absolute no-brainer that he was going to go to Liverpool. It was all geared for him to go there.
Yeah, but they fucked themselves by doing that. They messed up the whole thing by doing the Caicedo move at the last minute.
This is the problem. Is like there are several problems that were arising from there. It's like, well, you were haggling all this time over Southampton to pay an extra 5 million for the player. There's also the fact that you put a British record down, so clearly the money is there. And then in the bigger scale of things, what's 5 million really? And then on top of that is the fact they abandoned him completely when they went for Caicedo, and he felt away about that. But if you see how Chelsea addressed this situation, is that when we were pursuing Caicedo and we put that bid down, we was also saying to Lavia, listen, just because we're paying this money for this guy doesn't mean we don't have you in the plans. We want you in this team. We can still see that you've got that elite potential, and we'd love to have you at Chelsea. So we felt a little bit more respected and a little valued. And also as well, there's the relationship with Joe, what's his name? Joe Shields.
Yeah, he's been with him since Southampton as well.
Signed him at Manchester City, took him to Southampton. Now he's bringing him to Chelsea. So I think Liverpool they overplayed their card, and they also disrespected the situation with Lavia by the looks of it. You know what I mean? So
it's tricky. Jesse, I'm going to ask you about Nunez, because I feel Nunez is someone that he's got a lot of talent. We know that already. We're seeing glimpses of it, or a lot of it in the last season. But do you feel this is a big season for him now? Obviously, they've still got options with Gakpo, Jota, Salah. But I think for that role that I think they're expecting Nunez to play this season, do you think this is a big season for him now to kind of cement himself into that team?
Yeah, I think it is. Do you know what? I don't think he done as bad as some people would have said he did last season. I thought he was all right for his first season in the league and in England. I thought he done okay. Like, I think sometimes when you look at like strikers come in, we expect them to hit the ground running, score 20 plus, and if they don't do that, then it's a bad signing. But I think he done really well, and he runs in behind. He's a threat. He's a constant like menace to defenders. And I just feel like sometimes he was snatching at chances. Sometimes it just looked a bit rash. So I think this season, I think he could do really well.
Yeah, he looks
now
like
now that he's got season under his belt and he's used to it and he knows what to expect. I think he'll find more of the right areas now.
I think it was in a tough position where, obviously, with Liverpool and City competing for going back and forth for the title, that's that season prior to him joining. When City signed Haaland and Liverpool signed Nunez, there was the immediate comparison. That's not fair. It's just not fair. That's not how football works, And we've seen, if you want to say, better players come here and they not work out. Always like using the example of Veron. Veron was a superstar in Italy. Absolute superstar, absolute baller. Came to United, didn't work out. Went to Chelsea alone, didn't work out. Or went permanently after, didn't work out there either. It's just how it is in football sometimes. Diego Forlan stunk out here, went to Villarreal, became the absolute monster striker, and then went to the World Cup and buoyed it off as well. So you just don't know. Now, Nunez, again, just like how people like statistics and the aesthetic pleasing players, that's what I'm going to say. Because he's not a clean dribbler, because he's not a clean, striker of the ball, he's not that good. He is troublesome, absolutely troublesome, and people hate to play against him. So if he gets into more good positions this year and scores more goals, that's what Liverpool brought him in for. And Gakpo's looking good as well. Salah's still there. They've got a good team, man. So I think he'll be all right. Personally, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. What you're saying, Green, you agree with Jesse, Kojo? You think Nunez this season should perform slightly better, even though he had a really good season last season, but you think he should be up in the levels this season?
Yeah, I think... Oh, sorry. Yeah, go on.
Oh, sorry. Were you asking Kojo?
No, Goonie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay,
sorry.
I think Nunez might be... I don't know how to put this, but I reckon that Nunez might suffer in the sense of Liverpool lacking elsewhere. I think they have to fix this midfield before they can really start thinking about getting the best out of their forward line. And I mean, listen, Salah for me will always be an exception to the rule because he's a special player. He can make things happen on his own, and he's a threat anywhere within 30 yards if you give him the space. So excluding him. But that transition between that midfield and that attack, that connection between that attack and that midfield, it's gonna be a worry for me. They got rid of Fabinho, and once again we go back to the DM situation. Now I feel myself echoing what we've been saying for the past several seasons, and I feel like Liverpool have now found themselves in a similar situation to us, where they're in desperate need of a DM, because a DM is very important, not just to break up play in their own half, but also breaking up play up front, winning balls, far up the pitch and transitioning high up the pitch, not really giving the opportunity of your position to get back and into shape. These are important things. And when I look at this Liverpool team and in that midfield, I don't really see anybody that's there who's ready for that role, except the young but I can't pronounce his last name. But from what I hear, he's injured. I don't know how long he's out for. And he can't do this on his own, because if Liverpool are smart, they will learn from the mistakes of just having Fabinho as a lone number 6 for so long in that squad. You're going to eventually run these players down to the ground. So Liverpool definitely do need to address that sooner rather than later. But in terms of Nunez himself, when I look at him from like an individual perspective, definitely from he's come to Liverpool to where he is now, I can definitely see the confidence has gone up. I saw positive things, although I feel he didn't really have the most time to really showcase himself, but I saw positive things against us as well. I've always said with Nunez, you can never write him off in the box. He's a deadly finisher, in my honest opinion. He's got a deadly strike on him. Even outside the box, he's lethal. It's just everything else around that, the touch, making the correct decisions and linking up with his other teammates. He's got to get those things right. But there's definitely still a player in there. You'd be foolish to write him off. But until Liverpool sort out that long-term problem, I think they're going to struggle to see the best out of several of their attackers.
It's a fair shout. It's a fair comment. I'm gonna keep it with you because there's a question from Football CF Candy for you, Goonie. It says here that, Goonie, I remember when we spoke last time on Matisse's subscriber channel in the show, still concerned about attacking edge, but having a DM changed our team massively from J5 to Caicedo and Lavia. I can't believe it, is what they're saying. What are you saying, Goonie? Are you happy now? Obviously, I think I can answer this for you, but I can also say that you wasn't the biggest fan of J5 eventually come the end of his time at Chelsea. But what's your thoughts on obviously the change now? You just spoke about the DM for Liverpool, but J5, Jorginho leaving, Caicedo, Lavia potentially coming in as well. Elise to add to that, which we'll talk about when we talk about Palace. But just so it's an upgrade. I think I can answer that for you. It's an upgrade, surely.
Yeah, it's a massive upgrade. And to be honest with you, I'm so happy Jorginho is no longer our problem. He was one of a core of players that I was desperate to see get rid of Chelsea. And I felt until these group of players move on, we're never going to move on and up to the next level. Jorginho for me was 100% one of them. Kepa for me he's not fully out the door yet, but was definitely one of them.
No. He'll go, man. He's gone. He's gone. When he goes on loan, he ain't coming back.
I hope so. I hope that's the case.
You can't come back. The door's shut now.
As Piliqueta, for me, I mean, love him as a great servant to the club, but I thought he was also becoming part of the problem. And there were, several other players in there as well. So what I've been calling for years, I mean, I'm talking about probably 4 or 5 years before I even started content creation, was we haven't replaced Matic. We definitely need a midfield revamp, and we've been calling for it for such a long time. So to get it and to see, not just one, but 2 number 6s is like a dream. And the quality of both of these number 6s as well, because to anybody that's watched my channel, I was on the Romeo Lavia thing from time ago. I was saying that this boy's got the potential to be an elite DM. And you already know what Caicedo is about. So 2 potentially elite DMs, in my honest opinion, as options is brilliant, because it goes back to what I was saying earlier, is we're not just going to have the problem of running Caicedo down to the ground and be like, oh shit, what do we do then? It's like, all right, cool. We can rest him. We can have Lavia in that pivot with Enzo or whatever. So it's definitely positive, man. We're moving in the right direction. Definitely we've got to give shout outs to the manager as well, because buying all these players is one thing, but to actually get them to play a cohesive and attractive style of football is another. And I definitely think that Pochettino is going to do that. So with the midfield revamp, I was always going to be happy about it. But the extra bonus is the particular players that the players that we actually got in. So yeah, man, definitely overjoyed with that.
It's a massive one as well, because it's not just the incomings, it's the outgoings as well. You mentioned Azpilicueta, obviously Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Christian Pulisic. We're still hoping Hakim Ziyech and Lukaku leave at some point. Or
well, we got news about Hakim Ziyech actually.
Who's going to say Lukaku? Don't get my hopes up, man.
I think there's a potential he could still go by the end of the window, but
who, Lukaku or Ziyech?
I think Lukaku might go, but with Ziyech, you're getting reports from France. Pending confirmation, all goes well, Hakim Ziyech will join PSG. Quite a few French outlets are reporting it. So let's just see, man. Hopefully we'll get him out the door once and for all. High wages as well, this guy. So it would be great to get him off the books.
Well, they've just got Neymar, so off their books, I'm sure they got a bit of change floating around in their pocket somewhere. But Kojo, FFP. That's all I've been hearing for the last 3 days. FFP. Talk to me. Do you feel that Chelsea are using whatever we're going to call it, loopholes or whatever you want to say it is, cheating the game is what it's been told that it could be to an extent. But do you feel like Chelsea are just using what they have available to them to the best of their ability? And do you see any repercussions of the way that they're doing these deals in terms of putting players on 8-year contracts and option for a further, basically a 9-year deal for Caicedo, I think is what's been he's had. So what's your thoughts on that? Do you think it's a fair playing field? Should other clubs be doing the same if they've got the resource to do it?
Firstly, I think other clubs are jealous of what Chelsea are doing. I think that's a lot of the hatred, because what people need to understand is if you are anyone that's trying to challenge for a title that is not Manchester City, you are trying to catch up in a big way. Chelsea are used to challenging for honours. They have not done that in the last couple of years in terms of the league title. So they want to catch up and show that they are levels once again. This is what Chelsea do. Now, with terms of the FFP, I feel like whilst people feel like maybe Bowley looks at this like it's he's trying to build a roster rather than a squad, I think he's a bit smart with the deals. And this is why I think he's a bit smart with the deals. I think everyone knows Chelsea are not paying these fees full up front. There are ways to break them down and pay them year by year. That's how you deal with FFP. And I think there's a way with the contracts as well. Now, there is going to be a time where, I think it'll be soon, where FIFA come and say, we're not allowing those contracts anymore. This is how it's going to be, and this is going to be the rule. You can only offer 5 years maximum, maybe even 6 years, because some people do 5 years with the option of 1. I think there will be that implemented. But what Chelsea is doing, I don't think is wrong. Personally, I have no issue with it. And I don't think they're going to face any repercussions, because as long as they beat FFP, or, rather, you don't beat it, you stay within the rules of FFP, you'll be fine. What I think is going to happen, or what I think is happening also, is looking at the profile of players that you're signing, not only in terms of talent, but age, and looking at Pochettino's history with younger players. I think this is a long-term game. I feel like they're looking at Pochettino and they're saying, we've seen your track record, especially if you talk about Tottenham. Tottenham have much less resources than Chelsea, if we're being real, in terms of, not only ability to attract players, but, all the rest of it. He did well bringing players like Dele Alli, a younger Alderweireld, got Vertonghen on there, pushed through Danny Rose a bit more, all those kind of guys. Got them to a level that you didn't expect Tottenham to be at, 3rd and 2nd, and they finished 2nd to a superb Conte Chelsea team. So, they did very well. But now you're looking at Chelsea and the resources that you've got, new owners, different ways of spending money, long-term contracts. You've got a lot of good young talent in there. You've added Disasi, you've added Caicedo and Lavia, Liverpool. I think you're in for a good time. So you guys don't have to worry about FFP. You guys will be fine. I firmly believe that. And let's be real. Even if they find you guilty of breaking the rules of FFP, what are they going to do? Fine you a little bit. Okay, so no more. That's what they do. They ain't going to deduct points. They're going to knock you out of a competition. They're going to say, give me some money, and it'll be all wiped under the carpet. So you'll be fine. I'm just interested to see how you perform more than anything. But I feel like you got a manager that will find the cohesion very quickly because it seems like the players you're signing, it makes sense the way you're signing them. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Nicholas Jackson as well. So yeah, man. Yeah,
looks solid, man. Looks solid.
Mm.
Jesse, you agreeing with Kojo? You agreeing with the FFP? Should Chelsea be doing something different, or do you feel like FFP is just there to be exploited to an extent, and then you just got to make sure that you stay within the lines after that?
Stay within the lines, man. That's the game. Like, and if the other clubs didn't think of what Chelsea had done, and they didn't do it themselves, then it's just all through them. That's all it is. It's not like as a opposition fan, you just wish your club done the same thing. And I think that's what most clubs think. That's even if they won't admit that, that's what they wish their club had done the same thing as well. And I agree with what Kojo was saying. I like the profile players that they're signing. It suits what he had at Southampton, what he had at Spurs, a younger profile, a lot of ability. And the thing you get with younger players, they're just more willing to work hard and adapt to their game. They don't have that ego that the older players will have. They're easier to work with. They listen more, and they're more inclined to apply the tactics and the style of play that you're trying to implement, rather than, some of the players you might have had last season. We say when Potter was there, he's trying to, relay his tactics to some of these well-established players, and they might not listen to him. Whereas if you have a group of younger players, no, but you know what I mean. Yeah. Like they're more inclined to listen.
Talking for little man.
But like Poch has that track record of working with younger players and finding success in it. So the profile looks and makes sense, And I agree with Kojo as well. I like Jackson. He was on fire. You could see that once he gets going, he could have fun in this league.
Big loss, I think, for Jackson, or not a loss for Jackson, but for Chelsea. I think Nkunku would have been the person that would have been perfect to play with Jackson, and I think he's going to be a big loss. But Goonie, I want to talk quickly before we move off Chelsea. We kind of said this. I think I said something mad when we signed Caicedo to yesterday, actually, but we're going to win the league. I'm going to take that back now. I'm going to say that on record. I don't think we're going to win the league, but I do think we're going to be up there. I think we should be there or thereabouts. But what do you think for the expectations? Even if we don't sign anyone after, if we do get Lavia and we do get Elise, and we are just with Sanchez, do you still think that we should be, bare minimum, we should be talking about the top 5 as it will be for next season for the European spots?
Yeah, 100%. If we're talking about, if the transfer window closed as of now, and actually add Lavia to that. If the transfer window closed once we sign Lavia, then I'm very much expecting a top 4, a decent top 4 finish, actually. And I don't think that's asking too much, because I think teams that were quite strong last season might be in for a little bit of a surprise the next season. I personally don't think Arsenal are going to get as close to what they were last season. I think Manchester United, if they don't address issues in the transfer market, might not compete as much as they think they would want to. Well, as much as they would want to this season. Liverpool, similar situation. There's opportunities for us really to have a strong finish. Now, in terms of, because I've heard others say, title race and this and that, I'm not expecting that. There's a lot of variables that come with that. This is a brand new team. And remember, we're talking about a Premier League season off the back of Manchester City winning a treble. So I don't think it's going to be easy for anyone to snatch that off them. Massive ask. So just with those things considered, I think it's a bit premature to ask for one. But in terms of a top 4 finish, I'm ignoring this top 5 stuff. In terms of a top 4 finish, I think we should be getting it. We should be comfortable in getting it as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think even just based on how we played, I know preseason is preseason, you got to keep that separate, but just even in terms of the plays that we've got now, we've really addressed a lot of the issues that we had. I haven't addressed all of them. Obviously, we still need to talk about the goalkeeper thing and all of that, because letting Kepa go without bringing in someone that could probably compete for Sanchez for that number 1 is key, crucial. I think we need to get another striker in as well. I think Nicholas Jackson's really good, but if he gets injured, then who are we looking to? And Nkunku's out for a while now, so obviously Amanda Broya is going to come back at some point. But I think it's tricky. I think it is tricky. But Jesse, quickly, Crystal Palace, Zaha gone, Elise looks like he's on his way out. But how do you reckon they're going to do this season? It's 2 big players to lose. Obviously, there's Eze still there, and I think they brought in a couple of players as well this season, or they're linked with a couple of players. But do you feel that with Roy Hodgson, they'll be okay, comfortable this season in terms of survival and maintaining Premier League status?
Yeah, and obviously you don't definitely know about if Elise is like on the move, but even if he does go, I think they stay up anyway. Most of those players have played with Roy already, so he knows all of them. They know how he wants to play. So I think they stay up, to be honest. And I think they'll add as well. There will be a lot of movement in the market in the next 2 weeks. Once certain transfers start going through, there will be like the usual domino effect there is trickling down the league. So there'll still be loads of like loan moves and permanent deals to be had by teams in and around the bottom. So yeah, I think they'll be okay. Obviously, it was a gutting for them to lose Zaha, but that was expected. Any player that gets to the last year of their contract and they've not signed an extension, the penultimate season, they're going to go. So I don't think that was a shock to anyone. But yeah, Lerner was a good signing for them, and I think they got Lewis Hall on loan, didn't they?
Well, it's still up in the air. I think Newcastle are trying to hijack that deal. Yeah, I think Newcastle are trying to hijack the deal last minute. But yeah, I think he'd suit. For me personally, he suits going to Crystal Palace than he does to Newcastle. And I think Cucurella, for me, would be the one I'd send to Newcastle and keep Matson at Chelsea for another season. But yet to be seen. Top 4, top 5 predictions. I'm going to start with Goonie because I know Goonie needs to shoot soon. But talk to me about your predictions for top 4.
Ah, man, I hate doing this before the end of a transfer window, man, because as things stand, Man City, they're not going to be moved off their spot. Second, slightly, I think we might get second. I can't lie. I'm as things stand right now, I'm saying slightly second. We'll get it. Third, that might be that might be an Arsenal. I think maybe Arsenal, between Arsenal and Newcastle. So between 3rd and 4th, it'll be Arsenal and Newcastle. 5th, I'd say Liverpool might sneak it, man. I'm sorry, Kojo. I think Liverpool might.
You're recording with 2 United fans as well. You're recording with 2 United fans, and you're missing out United. Mad.
Hey, listen, you have to say Man United because I cannot be stressed and do Europa League again. I can't do it anymore. I just cannot. I can't do it.
Do you know what kills me the most about Europa League? Yeah, when you're finishing work and like you're just on the way, or you might be coming home. And then you get that alert come through. No, but you get the team news, and it's like, it's 5 o'clock. Why am I getting team news at 5 o'clock? So that's 6 o'clock kickoff. That's what kills me about the Europa League. That 6 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah.
I can't do.
Yeah, man.
I hate that. I hate that.
Yeah. What are you saying, Jesse, for your top 4, top 5?
Do you know what? It's because it depends on like what Goonie said. It depends on what happens in the next 2 weeks in the market. Because my top 4 would have been. I don't think Arsenal's making top 4. That's just my opinion.
Bold.
But I before what happened with Caicedo and Lavia, if one of them went Liverpool, I would have said that Liverpool would have been in the title race against City. Because I think the rest of their business, especially in midfield, has been very good. Curtis Jones finished the season really well. So obviously I was expecting him to kick on. And I like the other 2. Obviously I like McAllister, I like the guy from Leipzig. And I think, like I was saying about Nunes, Gakpo, I think they're going to kick on. So I don't think goals is going to be an issue. But if they can get a number 6 or 2, then I still think it would be them against City. Because the rest of their players are used to that situation. Like, they're used to fighting on all fronts. It's not going to be new playing Champions League. Or they're not in Champions League, but like mixing Europe with the league. They're used to doing that. Whereas Newcastle, Arsenal haven't been in Europe for a long time. And I don't think they can balance it. I don't think they're going to be able to balance it, especially if they both get through the group stages. I see top 4 being an issue for them with both of them. So, and I agree with you. I think Chelsea will be in the top 4 as well. That's mainly due to the manager. Obviously, the signings are good, but the manager's got that pedigree, and he's been there, done it. So, yeah, that would have been Liverpool, City, Chelsea, and United. Yeah, I can't lie. Like, that's mine. But I'm not even trying to annoy Arsenal fans. It's not for banter. It's just genuinely like I think goals might be an issue at some point in the season for them, and I just think if they get through the group stages, I don't think their squad's big enough to handle both. I think losing Xhaka is going to be bigger than people think at the moment. But yeah.
So it's all right. They got Kai Havertz there to fill in for him, but that's what they said they signed him for. I don't know, but mad. Kojo, talk to me before we wrap up.
I don't know why Kai Havertz is playing midfield for them, but anyway, top 4, 5. I'm gonna do the cows thing and not do by position. I'm gonna give you 5 teams. City will definitely, of course, be in there. I think Chelsea are going to be in there, and as much as Chelsea fans don't want to say it, I think you will be in the title race this year. I think Arsenal will be in the top 5. I'm going to be chesty and say Man United because why not? The 5th position, I'm going to go. Actually, well, I don't think they'll finish 5th. I think they'll finish higher, but I'm going to say Newcastle as well. That Tonali addition is huge, and I don't think they're done in the market just yet. I think they're going to try and find about 2 or 3 more players to just give it a bit more oomph. But I like their depth, especially with Harvey Barnes and whoever else they got on the wings. So I'd say that as well. But yeah, this is my 5 teams. Liverpool miss out basically because I still don't think they're going to be good defensively. And I'm going to throw this in there for you. I think Alisson is going to go to Saudi Arabia.
I can't see it, man.
Apparently he's interested in the move. If they let that happen, then they ain't getting top 5.
Yeah, it's curtains. It's curtains. If that happens, it's curtains.
Done. Game over.
Yeah, I agree. Because I think Alisson was probably one of their best players last season. I think he's one of the only reason. Yeah, I think he's pretty much the reason why they finished where they did. Without him, they'd definitely be a lot lower.
I can't see him going there, but we'll have to see how that pans out. We're out of time, so I can't even give you my top 5. So
no, give us yours, man.
Go on, man.
Don't do that, man.
It's mainly like you, man. Anyway, so I think City. This is not in particular order, but I think City, Chelsea. I do think United will get in there. I think United will go back into the market and strengthen. Chelsea, City, United. I think Newcastle will be there or thereabouts. I agree with Kojo. I think they've just signed Tino Livramento as well, really good player. So they're adding a lot of depth. They obviously want someone to do the left side, so looking at Cucurella and Lewis Hall as well. I don't think they're finished. And then the 5th one's difficult, man. I think it could be Arsenal. I do think it could be Arsenal. Yeah, I think it'd be Arsenal. I think again they might go in, they might surprise us and go back into the market. Obviously, they've lost Justin Timber now as well, so he's out. So they're going to have to go back in and dip in. I know they want to get rid of Kieran Tierney, so they're probably looking at other options as well. So I think that they'd be my 5, but we'll have to see, man. Like Goonie said, the window is not shut, so there's a lot more to be done, a lot more activity, I'm sure, in the next 2 weeks. Goonie, Kojo, Jesse, thank you very much for joining. First episode. Appreciate it. As always, Goonie, just let the people know where they can find your channel or what you're about and all that stuff.
Man Knows Football on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. We've got Lee Gunner on tomorrow. Got Eunice on as well tomorrow. So yeah, man, big things coming up on the channel. Make sure you stay tuned.
Yeah, man, appreciate having you on, Kojo, as well.
Yeah, appreciate it every time. Kojo Free Midfield Podcast. Everywhere you want to find it, audios, YouTube, Free Midfield Podcast, and my personal at Kojo Free Midfield there.
Jesse, as always, and you're not on the podcast thing anymore. I'm glad to get you back on the podcasting thing.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, man. Yeah, nothing to advertise.
Busy, man.
So that's my Twitter handle. So That's it. Free agent.
Man said free agent,
Yeah,
man.
no.
Open for all
No, I'm
offers.
joking, I'm
But nah, appreciate having you on, man. It's been a pleasure as
Yeah, no
always,
worries, man.
man. Yeah, man. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you do all of that stuff. Links are in the description. Make sure you hit the notification bell. And yeah, back next week, man. Another podcast, but there'll be plenty of videos in between then. So podcast every week, videos once a day. So thank you very much for watching and listening. We'll be back very soon. More content coming. Thank you very much.
Southgate out.